Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Rebel News live stream on this, a Monday, February 23rd, 2026. I'm David Menzies, and my co-host, well, she is the she-devil with a sword, the Khaleesi of Northern Alberta, and I'm talking about the sensational Sheila Gunn Reid. So, Sheila, another Winter Olympics are in the bag, or is in the bag. I'm not sure, grammatically speaking. Was it good for you, Sheila Gunn Reid?
I did my damnedest to avoid it. I watched the curling. I watched the Canadians cheat during curling and then lie about it. And I watched the fallout from the gold medal hockey game and the American gloating of it, which, whatever, it's fine. And I watched it with some trepidation after I saw some posts from the White House, and I thought, oh, damn. Doug Ford's not going to be able to keep it in his pants over this one, and apparently he has not. So
you're speaking about the eagle and the feasting on the Canada goose?
Yes.
It was clever. I will say this about the hockey, Sheila, and this is not sour grapes, because if the Canadians had won, I swear to you I'd be saying the same thing.
Oh, smug as all get out we would be.
What's that?
We would be smug as all get out. So this came out of the White House.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the post game. I'm talking about the overtime period. 3-on-3 is not hockey. That is like a practice drill. It's an abomination. And Sheila, it drives me crazy. An Olympics is once every 4 years, and then we get to overtime of the marquee event, men's hockey. And it's like, could you get this over with? We got to move on. You should have 5-on-5. I have no problem with the NHL in a meaningless regular season game doing a gimmick, and that's what it is, 3-on-3, doing a gimmick to decide it. But in a medal game, not a chance. My second observation, Sheila Gunn Reid, on Saturday I was in the gym. I know, people find it hard to believe.
Sure you were, David.
I did my best to go to the
You could
gym.
have just said on Saturday, but now I believe nothing that comes next because you started with a lie. But go ahead.
There's video evidence, I'm sure, with surveillance footage. And while I was working out, Sheila, it was the men's bobsled, particularly the 4-man bobsled. And it dawned on me, I had an epiphany. Really, what's going on here is gravitational pull.
Yes.
I mean, once you get on that, where's the skill? They're all tucked in, huddled
Pushing.
in.
I don't know.
This is what I'm saying to you. If the Summer Olympics decides to have water sliding, I want to try out for the Canadian team. I'm pretty fast on a water slide. I mean, as they say in basketball, white men can't jump. But this white man, I can go right down a water slide like grease lightning. What do you think, Sheila? Do you think I'd be in medal contention for the summer version of the bobsled?
Yeah, you're real slick. You're like an otter. I do think, though, that there is, of course, skill behind bobsledding, because when it goes catastrophically wrong,
yes.
Which, when they miss the sled and then they just sort of drift down behind the sled on the track. So when it goes bad. When it goes bad, it goes real bad. So I guess there's obviously some skill. And like David, we have skills in nothing. Like, I'm pretty sure we shouldn't be deciding what is or isn't a sport. I mean, I curl poorly. I do have stage presence though. And I've never tried cheating because I don't even think I'm good enough to cheat.
So you're going back a week ago, Sheila, Canada versus Sweden. And I was watching that coincidentally in the gym. And for the first time in my life, I got incredibly interested in curling because I thought there was going to be a fight. Things got heated. But did he cheat, the Canadian?
Yeah, I think he did. I think his finger was on the rock after the hog line. Well, I know some people disagree, including the curling team. But this is the first time curling's been super exciting since they took out smoking and drinking on the sheet. Oh, maybe he didn't cheat. Anyways, we're supposed to keep the show tight today because I've got a caper right after this starts.
Oh, yes. Bundle up, Sheila.
Oh, it's cold. It's cold. I am bulky already. I already have my Helly Hansen long johns on because I have to dash out of here right after. So if you are watching us on Rumble, that's a great free speech platform. Thanks for sticking it out over there. If you want to support the work that we do out of the goodness of your heart, rather than how Mark Carney makes you support the media, and that's by force with your taxes, you can leave us a Rumble rant if it's over the $5 US cutoff. We're reading it on air. If it's under that, we'll do our best, time permitting. And I'll lead with the fact again that time is very tight. I'm already supposed to be on the caper. I just didn't have somebody to host the live stream with David today, so I am here. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can support us by leaving a super chat. That's their paid chat over there. The same rules apply. Or you can leave a super thanks. That's their paid comment. So that's it. Let's get into the news and the aforementioned Doug Ford. Apparently, he's our foreign affairs minister, self-appointed. And he says the walls are closing in on President Trump.
Oh, are they?
Okay, Doug. Okay, Doug. Okay.
The Supreme Court, it hasn't changed, thankfully. Anything here in Ontario or in Canada, we're still keeping an eye on Section 232, but make no mistake about it, President Trump still has a lot of tools, but I think it's the walls are closing in on President Trump. No matter if you saw him lose the vote and 6 Republicans cross the floor, with Congress, then you saw the Supreme Court decision. We'll see how the Senate decision comes up, but I'm going to be on the phone full steam.
Sorry about the coming tariffs, Ontario, because you're going to get some.
Yeah, Sheila, mixed messages there, wouldn't you say? President Trump still has a lot of tools, but the walls are closing in on him. Maybe he has a tool, if that's the case, to prevent the walls from closing in on him. I got to say, and I'm trying to be, nonpartisan here. I think the Supreme Court made the wrong decision. I believe the president had every right to implement those tariffs. And when you read the dissenting opinion, especially from Justice Gorsuch and Justice Thomas, they made a compelling argument why he did. And I think this is another example, Sheila, of the politicization of the Supreme Court, that the left of center justices, like the woman who can't define what a woman is, are, they have Trump derangement syndrome. But be that as it may, the decisions come down, and already Trump raised tariffs across the board from 10 to 15%. These are billions and billions of dollars coming in to the United States economy. I hate to break it to my fellow Canadians, but Trump is all about, what's that slogan again? Yeah, make America great again. And if you look at the numbers since a year of taking office, Sheila, in terms of inflation, down, gas prices down, under $3 in many states, in some states, under $2 a gallon, food, energy, unemployment down. He is doing an incredible job. So the idea that he's going to acquiesce to what I think are activists on the U.S. Supreme Court. No, Doug Ford's got another think coming, as usual.
Yeah, you said it was Justice Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, but it's not Gorsuch. It's Clarence Thomas, of course.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say Thomas?
No, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Brett Kavanaugh. So I
Brett
think
Kavanaugh is what I mean. I'm sorry. I misspoke.
No, you said Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, I think.
It's Kavanaugh and Thomas are the opinions. I misspoke.
Yeah. Oh, and Alito. So I think the three most conservative justices on the Supreme Court dissented in that 6-3 decision. In fact, Thomas wrote, the framers gave this power to Congress alone, notwithstanding the obvious foreign affairs implications of the tariffs. And whatever may be said of other powers that implicate foreign affairs, we would not expect Congress to relinquish its tariff power through vague language or without careful limits. So anyway, Doug Ford is not free and clear of this. In fact, saying things like the walls are closing in is probably going to get another tariff sent his way.
Yeah, well, Trump's there for another 3 years, so that's a lot of wiggle room. And I see here, Sheila, Doug Ford, he's gone from, I guess, international affairs to interprovincial affairs. He's criticizing your premier now. This guy's amazing.
Yeah, and I've been to Toronto, so zip it. I've been to Brampton, so zip it. I've been to Mississauga. So maybe he could zip his lip here. We're trying to protect the Alberta economy, but also the culture of Alberta by proposing a referendum on immigration in Alberta. Not just proposing it, it's going to be on the ballot in October. And he says that in a very passive aggressive, albeit very Canadian way, that Premier Smith is wrong on this. So let's watch.
I'm focused on Ontario right now. I've always said, I've never changed my mind when it comes to immigration. We need skilled immigration. We need economic immigration. So if you have a skill, please come to Ontario. We need more skilled workers. We need smart economic drivers as well. And I've mentioned to the Prime Minister, and all the premiers agree, you bring people over, you get them trained up for 2 years, and companies rely on them, and all of a sudden you get them and you ship them off. Well, that's not good for the economy. It's not good for our GDP. So my number one priority is making sure people here in Ontario get employed. I'm focused on Ontario.
So why are you okay with Mark Carney's unfettered immigration? Yes, I'm fine with skilled immigration. Yes, I am fine with real refugees. Also, by the way, I've done aid work for real refugees. My problem is what Doug Ford actually said that he wants as far as immigration goes. And he said, get them here, then train them up. So support them for 2 years, then train them up, and then unleash them in the economy. Why aren't we just training Ontario workers?
Yeah, I'm glad you caught that. He said two different things there, didn't he? He
sure
said
did.
Skilled immigration. Now, if that's doctors, lawyers, engineers coming over, that's one thing. But then he said economic immigration. That's not the same thing. That is somebody in a country that's not as well off as Canada and wants to get out of their country and come here and probably jump the queue by claiming bogus refugee status so that they can improve themselves economically. And it is not that, when I talk to my Indian source, Ted Smith, not his real name, of course, but he says to me, Dave, when you look at the class of people that are coming over from India right now, it is not doctors and lawyers and engineers. That ship has sailed. It's basically Tim Hortons workers. And, does anyone, question why that company now has the nickname Sing Hortons? And, we go back to last June, Sheila, a fascinating piece in the National Post, the death of the summer job. For kids spending 2.5 months out of school, try finding a summer job these days. It for the most part, it doesn't exist. So, and I should note too, because Doug Ford is spending Ontario tax money as Carney is spending federal tax money. How do you have a battery plant in Windsor employing, and they're getting tens of millions in provincial and federal funds, Sheila, employing something like 1,600 Korean workers? I mean, even if you didn't like EV batteries and battery plants, you could always fall back on, well, at least these are good paying jobs for Canadians, but you can't even say that, in this case. How did we sign a deal to put our tax money into what is turning out to be a multi-billion-dollar boondoggle? And just look, Stellantis walked away for $100. Now it's entirely LG's show. How do you justify that when you're employing foreign nationals?
Right. And the youth unemployment rate is sky high in this country, which will have down the road economic problems. So it's not just a today issue of 20% of our youth can't find a job while we're importing a slave underclass from the developing world, which then comes to our country and then claims refugee status from the world's largest democracy of India. Down the road, it has a catastrophic effect because you have a generation of people who don't know how to work at all. And that hurts our productivity for generations to come. And Doug Ford seems to be okay with that. He says, bring these people in, support them for 2 years. That was his timeline, 2 years. Yeah. Train them up and then unleash them on the economy. Why don't we take that time to train Ontario's workers?
And Sheila, going back to my Windsor example, do you know Windsor right now, at least the last time I checked, 10.2% unemployment. Ugh. Basically the biggest unemployment rate since they started accumulating stats. And I have spoken to those in the union who represent Canadians, and my question was, are these Koreans bringing some kind of special skill set? Because that's how it's being sold, Sheila, that the rank and file Canadians in Windsor can't do. And he said that is completely false. We can do all the work they are doing. So that is just an absolute sham. How did this contract get signed this way, Sheila?
I'm sure it had something to do with the bailouts that Doug Ford keeps receiving from the federal government for his favored industries, while the rest of the industries in this country tank. Alberta has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the entire country, and we're doing our best to protect it. Doug Ford doesn't seem to be willing to take any of the measures to alleviate the unemployment rate in some of those key places like Windsor, like Oshawa, like Toronto even. He's not really doing anything about it. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that he doesn't want to cause friction between he and his on-again, off-again boyfriend, Mark Carney.
It's more on again, as far as I can tell.
Sure it is.
Sheila, I mean, holy mackerel, talk about the political version of heated rivalry. You'd think a conservative and a liberal get along as well as a mongoose and a cobra, but apparently not. And however, we do have a clip, I understand, of Premier Smith talking about how Alberta taxpayers, well, guess what? People like yourself and your provincial countrymen and countrywomen.
Countrymen, exactly.
Yes, can't really afford to subsidize the rest of us.
We're not gonna.
To anyone who moves here. This is not only grossly unfair to Alberta taxpayers, but also financially crippling and undercuts the quality of our healthcare, education, and other social services. The October 19th referendum will therefore include the following questions. Number 1, do you support the government of Alberta taking increased control over immigration for the purpose of decreasing immigration to more sustainable levels, prioritizing economic migration, and ensuring Albertans have first priority to new employment opportunities? Number 2, Do you support the government of Alberta introducing a law mandating only Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and individuals with an Alberta-approved immigration status will be eligible for provincially funded programs, such as health, education, and other social services? Number 3, assuming that all citizens and permanent residents continue to qualify for social support programs as they do now, do you support the government of Alberta introducing a law requiring all individuals with a non-permanent legal immigration status to be resident in Alberta for at least 12 months before qualifying for any provincially funded social support programs? Number 4, assuming that all citizens and permanent residents continue to qualify for public health care and education as they do now, do you support the government of Alberta charging a reasonable fee or premium to individuals with a non-permanent immigration status living in Alberta for their and their families' use of the healthcare and education systems? Number 5, do you support the government of Alberta introducing a law requiring individuals to provide proof of citizenship, such as a passport, birth certificate, or citizenship card, to be eligible to vote in a provincial election? To strengthen Alberta's constitutional and fiscal position within a united Canada, we will also be asking you the following questions on the referendum ballot. Do you support the government of Alberta proactively working with other willing provinces to amend the Canadian Constitution in the following ways? A, have provincial governments and not the federal government select the justices appointed to provincial King's Bench and appeals courts. B, abolish the unelected federal Senate. C, allow provinces to opt out of federal programs intruding on provincial jurisdictions such as health, education, and social services without losing any of the associated federal funding for use in their own provincial social programs. D, better protect provincial rights from federal interference by giving a province's laws dealing with provincial or shared constitutional areas of jurisdiction priority over federal laws when in conflict with one another. I look forward to the debate on these critically important ideas and to receive your decision on the questions outlined so that our government can get to work on implementing an immigration policy that puts the needs of Albertans first, as well as constitutional reforms needed to make Alberta stronger and more sovereign within a united Canada. In closing, I want you to know how confident I am in the judgment of Albertans on these and other delicate issues. Although there are some politicians and commentators that fear direct democracy, such as referendums, I do not. I trust the judgment of Albertans. I know that as a province, we will thoughtfully ponder, debate, and ultimately come to a wise decision on these questions that will benefit our families and our fellow Albertans for generations, just as we've always done. May our beautiful province forever remain strong and free.
You know, Sheila, the more I hear Danielle Smith speak, the more I am of the opinion that she is the very best premier in Canada right now.
I can't believe you thought she wasn't.
No, I just say more and more. I mean,
oh, for sure. For sure. Like those questions, yes, 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 yes. Like all the yeses, ma'am. And so for me as an Albertan, this gives me hope, because if our referendum on independence fails, we also have a plan B to assert authority within Confederation. Now, it's not going to be as good as being our own independent nation state, but it will allow us to flex our muscles within Confederation and have the greatest amount of autonomy. The only problem is that we need a majority of the provinces on board with us to amend the Constitution. But wouldn't it be great if we just withheld transfers, saying like, look, you're intruding on provincial authority on health. Why would we give you a bunch of money for you to give it right back to us after it's cycled through the hands of 1,000 bureaucrats who it doesn't need to go through? Why wouldn't we just administer health in our own way, as long as it's within the confines of the Canada Health Act?
Well,
you know?
You answered your own question, Sheila. It's to recycle that money through thousands of bureaucrats so they can justify their jobs, which could easily be cut and nobody would notice. And I want to say this about immigration. You know, we have a piece coming up. The reason why I couldn't do the live stream on Friday was that Lincoln Jay and I went out to Brampton, and it was a protest basically to make all 2 million temporary foreign workers legal overnight. Okay. I guess they're grasping with the definition of temporary because that means the opposite of permanent. That means you go home. You do not automatically get permanent residency. You do not automatically get Canadian citizenship. And Sheila, I can tell you the motley crew of individuals that were out there, they were mostly Indians. I'm just calling it like I see it, who it's time to go home, but they don't want to go. Islamists, the Hamas demographic, Marxists, CUPE union members. Imagine that, Sheila.
You said Marxists already. You don't need to repeat yourself.
You're right. And of course, the worst scourge demographic these days, white liberal women. And I want to tell you,
There's something wrong with my cohort. There really is something wrong with my cohort of middle-aged white Canadian women.
Yep.
Especially the middle-class types. Man, there's something wrong with us.
And
again, I question giving us the right to vote at this point when I see them out on the streets.
Well, Sheila, if you can explain their motivation, there's a steak dinner in it for you next time you're in Toronto. But I just want to say the entitlement is off the charts. These people preach nobody is illegal on stolen land.
Yeah, fine. I'm coming over then.
Yeah. That's what I said. What are you doing here? That Canada, if you disagree with their position, that is a country full of haters and racists. Gee, a stolen land full of haters and racists. Why in the world would you want to move to such a vile place?
Out then.
Get out of here already.
Yeah.
So
there's one thing though that I appreciate is the efficiency of all of this. You see, these people who are temporary foreign workers are coming here and then just either disappearing or they are claiming refugee status. From where? Again, I reiterate, the world's largest democracy of India. You're not a refugee. You're not a persecuted Christian from northern Iraq, right? So once they get here and then they come as a temporary foreign worker and then they claim refugee status, the benefits kick in, and then the backlog in the system allows them to be here for 10 years, and then they get married to a Canadian or have a Canadian anchor baby.
Yep.
So I guess if you're looking from a cost standpoint, the way I frequently do, just naturalizing them cuts out a lot of the middleman. Now, it's not what I want. I want you, you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here, especially when you're just here bad-mouthing us and calling us terrible.
Yeah.
But, from a bureaucratic efficiency standpoint, just naturalizing them instead of waiting the 10 years and then going through all the motions seems like maybe the better way, and I don't think they realize that.
And Sheila, to bring it full circle, that's why Premier Ford doesn't know what the hell he's talking about when he says economic immigration. Look, you're in India.
That's what that is.
Yeah, well, exactly. That doesn't qualify you to be a Canadian citizen because you want to earn more money. You want to have a better lifestyle.
Enough, yeah.
I mean, otherwise we'd be taking in 90% of the world, and that's unsustainable. So, what is Ford talking about going to bat for those pursuing so-called economic immigration?
I have no idea. Some of it is that Trudeau impulse to just do everything opposite of what Donald Trump is doing.
Yeah.
Right? When Trump announced the what they called the Muslim ban, but it was a ban on immigration from failed states where you couldn't even verify the identities of these people. Mm-hmm. Incidentally, the majority of those places were Muslim controlled. That's just incidental to the reasoning. What did Justin Trudeau say? Welcome to Canada. And then they came. And then he collapsed our points-based immigration system that, to his credit, was advanced and led by Jason Kenney previously under the Harper administration. So I think Ford's got a bit of that Trudeau in him where it's ICE is going around deporting all the bad guys. Maybe they aren't bad guys. Maybe they're just there for a better life, and they're just definitely not rapists and murderers and criminals. They're just, little street urchins with hearts of gold.
Yeah, kept in cages.
Yeah. All right. David Eby reacts to reports that prominent business people in BC are relocating. Why? Because of the Alberta advantage.
Wow.
And he's, he has to take a sideways swipe at us and doesn't do the thing of like introspection. Why would they leave your drug den of a province, your socialist hellscape of a lower mainland? Why would they ever leave?
I heard from a number of members, and one in particular stood out to me, who reached out to me yesterday, that given what this budget delivers and given the expansion in the PST, they are going to pick up and relocate to Alberta, which is a replay of what we saw a couple of decades ago when companies simply cannot afford to stay here to do business. What message do you have to those companies that are faced with those very difficult choices right now?
Okay, so it's hard to defeat an anecdote, Bridget. We're second in Canada. Well, we're second in Canada for job growth, 35,000 jobs last year. We've increased per capita investment in this province by 79% since forming government. If we land even a fraction of the major projects that are reaching FID in the next year, that number is going to go up significantly. Alberta is talking about moving out of the country. There was a speech yesterday about a referendum on an array of measures that will raise uncertainty around access to workers related to immigration, being able to recruit people from around the world, around the certainty and stability of the government, to be blunt, in terms of what's being proposed in Alberta through this referendum. And so if a business looks at that and says, yes, this looks like the kind of thing that we want to get involved in, it's hard for me to make an argument. But if you are looking at a stable jurisdiction that is growing, that is hiring, that is training, that supports immigration, that supports skilled workers coming in and building a life here still, then British Columbia is the place. And if the PST on the accounting bill is sufficient to move you to another province, I don't know what to say about that, except to say that it may not be in the long term, in terms of Alberta's current trajectory, necessarily one that's going to support the long-term success of business. The second piece I will say is, I am watching carefully to see what Alberta's budget looks like, and what the impacts of the depression in resource prices had on Alberta, because I suspect it is similar, if not more amplified in Alberta than what we've experienced. So I don't mind getting a D if other students in the class are also graded. I don't pretend to be perfect, and British Columbia doesn't pretend to be perfect, but I think we're doing an okay job compared with our relevant comparator.
Sheila, let me ask you, are you very happy as an Albertan that Ontario Premier Doug Ford and BC Premier David Eby are taking such a vested interest in what's going on in the province of Alberta?
This is why we want to leave. like, I listen to these guys and I'm like, another separatist is born. The more David Eby talks, I hope that guy never shuts up. I hope him and Andrew Coyne go on the road through Alberta. Just make little stops. Bring Jason Kenney with you too while you're at it. Just go to small town diners and start telling those people why they need to stay in this country. It's so funny because he says stuff like, well, if that line item of the PST is enough to make you move to Alberta, then what do you want me to do about it? I don't know. Drop your PST. We don't have one in Alberta. And it's spoken like a true socialist, that he doesn't understand that higher taxes drive businesses and people out of the jurisdiction. We're seeing it happen in BC, that people are looking at Alberta and saying, you know what? There might be a little bit of economic chaos for about 18 months after they decide to leave. Interest rates are going to wildly fluctuate. Might have to worry about insurance rates for a little bit. But that is better than staying in BC. That's the message he should be getting, but he's not getting it. And he also says, we're the second in job growth in the country. Guess who's the first, brother? Guess who's the first? You forgot to mention that it's us in Alberta. We created so many jobs, we drove the national unemployment rate down. Almost all the jobs were created here. Go ahead.
And you know, Sheila, it's the same south of the border. You know, U-Haul, the moving people, they always do a year-end survey that I always find fascinating. And it's basically the number one state in terms of people leaving, packing up and leaving, and the number one state who are the recipient of the people leaving other states. And for 2025, number one exit state, California. Number one entrance state, Texas. Followed by the way, Florida and Tennessee. Do you see a consistent pattern here? Red, and it is the blue states that are taxed to death. Exactly. You know, so money is liquid. People want a better lifestyle. Now here's the danger, Sheila. And hopefully it doesn't happen, but you have people from California, New Jersey, New York going to Florida. You know, it's perfect here. We love the low taxes. Hey, could we put some bike lanes in there? Can we have a new community? And you see what happens, right?
Go to the Socialist Enclave of Edmonton if you want that, and just vote yourself into just District 9. I don't care. But don't Vancouver my Fort Saskatchewan if you come here. And I think a lot of the business owners understand that. I realize that was also something that went on with Texas and with Tennessee, like don't California my Tennessee. But, you know, like these socialist overlords, they really don't understand for a second how business works. Like, I don't know if you saw that article from the Globe and Mail. I think it was Friday. Maybe they talked about it on the show Friday. Didn't get a chance to watch because I was busy. But where they did an evaluation to show that Canada as a whole is far less well off than I think it was Alabama. And it's like,
yes,
who could have seen it coming? It just came out of nowhere. And it's like, what? We've been saying that. We've been asked out of nowhere. Canada became poorer than Alabama. How is that possible? 11 years of Liberals in power.
Yeah, was that a rhetorical question, or the Globe hasn't figured out that their sugar daddies in Ottawa are to blame for this? That is absolutely that's incredible. And that came out on the day of that Brampton protest where you want to basically legalize 2 million foreign workers. Is there somebody below Alabama in the States?
Alabama's fine. I would do fine there. We've got Poilievre announcing that Conservatives will introduce a motion. Is this today or tomorrow that they're introducing?
Tomorrow.
I think House is tomorrow. Okay. We'll introduce a motion to cut back on deluxe benefits for fake refugees and deport non-citizens and foreign nationals who do crime. I know so many young people who would love to just sign up to Canadian ICE. Like it looks so fun in the United States doing that job, making your community safe. I feel like you're making a difference. Time to take care of our healthcare, our taxpayers, our safety, and our country. So let's just quickly watch this, and then we'll go to an ad break.
Fact: 6 million Canadians can't get access to a family doctor. Fact: it takes 30 weeks for the average Canadian to see a specialist. Fact: while you can't get health care, Liberals force you to pay higher taxes to fund deluxe supplementary health care benefits for asylum claimants who've been rejected, who are non-Canadians, non-permanent residents, and have never paid taxes in this country. Fact: the reality is that these services include many things that are not covered by your public plan, things like physiotherapy. Fact: the cost of providing these deluxe supplementary benefits to asylum claimants has gone up by 1,000% under the Liberals to over $1 billion. Money diverted away from our health care, jamming up our system and increasing our wait lines. The Liberals destroyed our immigration system with numbers that overwhelmed our jobs, our health care, and our housing. Not only that, they've made it so that when someone is here making an asylum claim and they commit a crime, they could indeed have lower sentences than if a Canadian had committed the very same crime. This is unfair, and it's time that it changed. That's why tomorrow, Conservatives are moving a motion to change it. The motion would force a review and a cutback in benefits to asylum claimants to ensure that non-citizens and non-permanent residents do not get superior health benefits than Canadians. Second, it would ensure that those asylum claimants who are here and have been rejected only get life-saving emergency care and not special care. And third, it would ensure that judges give the full sentence and allow for a complete deportation of foreign nationals who are non-citizens that commit crime in our country. Enough is enough. We can't allow foreign criminals to take advantage of our system, false refugee claims to overwhelm the services that you pay for. We need a system that allows you, as a hardworking Canadian, to benefit from all that you've contributed to Canada. Quick and high-quality health care, good jobs and housing, safe streets. That's the Canadian promise. We're going to restore fairness. Sign our petition, back our motion, tune in tomorrow for the debate. Let's ensure that all Canadians get fair treatment.
You know, Sheila, first of all, the most fascinating thing about that video, that was shot in Toronto under the Gardiner Expressway. Usually there's homeless encampments galore. Well, I don't know what happened there, or maybe they were cleared out. But the most profound thing Mr. Poilievre said is that going back to 2016, so 10 years ago, the cost of processing refugee claimants was 60 million with an M. And today, a decade later, it is almost 1.5 billion with a B. This is outrageous. And why is that? Well, when you have refugee claimants, and many are bogus, and they're being put up in 3- and 4-star hotels, when, as Mr. Poilievre said, they need physiotherapy, it's on the house. When I go to my physiotherapist, that's a $90 appointment, Sheila, and it comes out of my wallet. So this is, and by the way, in terms of medical freebies, I draw the line at life-saving care. If somebody needs to see a doctor or go to the hospital, save their life, okay. But physiotherapy appointments, massage therapy appointments, are you kidding me?
Canadians, stuff that Canadians without an employer plan, without a generous employer plan, would pay out of pocket for. That's absolutely insane. Like in Alberta, we're proposing charging a premium for these people, which is exactly what you would do if you're a Canadian traveling to the United States. You have to buy health insurance. Like if you're there for a year or whatever, you have to have your own health insurance. Why are we doing this when Canadians are waiting, as he said, 30 weeks, 31 weeks to see a specialist? That's mental.
I'm going to tell you why, Sheila, because this is why this proposal will go nowhere tomorrow in the House of Commons.
Right.
Because the Liberal government, much like the Democrats in the U.S., it is party before country. And it's to flood people into this country, change the demographics, and the unspoken quid pro quo is, listen, mate, every 4 years, this is all we're asking. When you go to the ballot booth in Canada, you vote red. In the U.S., you vote blue. That's why Biden opened the southern border to an estimated 21 million illegals in 4 years. That's what it is, Sheila. What else could be the answer?
No, that is exactly why it is. And so remember tomorrow, my Central and Eastern Liberal voting boomers. Remember that tomorrow. And please quit sending me emails. If you are a conservative boomer, I'm not talking about you. I see you in the comments. And every time I say this, I say I'm not talking about you, but then you get mad. And I just said 10 minutes ago, there's something wrong with the white middle-aged women cohort. I know that's not me, okay? But it is my people, okay? But remember tomorrow, my Eastern Liberal voting boomer friends, the Liberals are going to vote for you to wait longer for the health care you need. They are going to vote for you to suffer. Think about that next time you're casting a vote for Melanie Joly or whoever takes Chrystia Freeland's place. Just remember that.
Oh, they won't.
No.
They've been so indoctrinated. This is the remaining audience of the CBC, which is the state propaganda department. So somehow they'll accept the spin that it's, I don't know, mean to deny people these taxpayer-funded benefits, even though they get more benefits than the people in this country paying the taxes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's hit an ad break. Come back on the other side. We got a message from our friends at Rumble Wallet, and then I want my caper that I'm supposed to be on is already underway, and I'll tell everybody about it, and then you'll see more tomorrow. But since you are loyal Rebel viewers and supporters, I want to just give you a little sneak peek of what I'm up to later on today. So let's hit an ad break. We'll see you on the other side.
Hello everyone, Tamara Leach here with Rebel News, and I am thrilled to announce that I am heading out on tour to talk about all things Alberta independence with two of my favorite authors and journalists, Sheila Gunn Reid and Corey Morgan. We are doing 9 cities across the province of Alberta to talk about all things Alberta independence. You can expect live presentations from each of us, a panel discussion on independence, a Q&A, as well as a book signing and meet and greet following each of the events. For more information, to pick up your ticket, or to find out if we'll be coming to your community, you can visit independencetour.com. That's independencetour.com. Looking forward to getting out there and seeing all of you.
How much longer is Alberta supposed to bankroll Ottawa's failures? How much longer are we going to be told to shut up and pay? Equalization, energy blockades, federal overreach. It's enough. Rebel News is taking the fight on the road with the Alberta Independence Tour. Live, in-person events all across the province, featuring me, Sheila Gunn Reid, Freedom Convoy leader Tamara Leach, and Western Standard's own Corey Morgan. No censorship, no mainstream media spin, just hard facts and a real debate and conversation about Alberta's future. Seats are limited, cities will sell out. If you care about this province, it's time to get off the sidelines. Go to independencetour.com right now. Grab your ticket before they're gone. This is Alberta's moment. Be in the room. Again, that's independencetour.com. All right. Olivia, if you're watching, and of course you are because you're in the studio, I think we hit all the headliners except for the Tumbler Ridge stuff, and then we'll do the cringe and wrap up the show. But first, a message from our friends at Rumble Wallet. They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters now more than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place with no permission and no middleman, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference. This isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently, yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when the institutions turn on their own people, and boy, Canadians know that for sure. Financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics, it's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today, download Rumble Wallet now, and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. Okay, I promised that I would show you the caper that I am supposed to be on. The caper is fully underway, and I'll catch up to the caper as soon as I'm done here. But we deployed a billboard truck to that Judas betrayer Matt Genereux's riding. So for those, there it is. You can sign the petition at firematt.com. I think we're like well over 22,000 signatures there. The driver sent me this while I was on air, and it's right in front of Matt Genereux's office. And we're going out on a little mission. We're taking the truck out, and we're going to talk to people on the street. We're going to find out what they think about their MP, Matt Genereux, first quitting and then deciding to come back after a very moving AI-generated speech, I believe, by Mark Carney at Davos. So Matt Genereux said he was going to resign after there were rumors that he was going to cross the floor back in November. Public pressure campaign, he wobbled. He said, actually, no, I'm taking time with my family. I'm resigning. Well, he's had all the family he can handle. And now he wants more Mark Carney. And so he flew into the airport because he hasn't been into the riding in at least 4 months. He hasn't been in the House of Commons voting. He hasn't been doing anything. Collected $56,000 in salary. Wow. Said he was going to donate it. I want to see them receipts because this guy lies. And anyway, we're going to give the people of Edmonton Riverbend a voice, because since the creation of this riding, I think in 2015, Matt Genereux has been the MP, and these people have voted consistently Conservative. And he said he consulted with his constituents from where? BC, where you've been living, buddy? He didn't even have the temerity to walk into the riding when he flew in to cross the floor. So we're sending a message, and if you'd like to donate to keep the billboard truck on the road and sign the petition, you can go to firemat.com.
And Sheila, I think the biggest unanswered question is, what did Carney give Matt?
Oh, for sure. There's something.
Yeah. Now, Carney will say nothing, right? This is all ethical and moral and blah, 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 principled. But he got something, because something made him change his mind in the 4 months to reverse his position. And, you know, I have never seen anything like this. I mean, from time to time, there are floor crossings. And believe me, I'm not partisan on this. I hated it when Leona Alislev left the Liberals to become a Conservative, by the way, driven by internal polling in her riding showing that it was going to swing back.
Yeah, but at least Leona, to her credit, and look, I'm not making excuses for her. I didn't like her either. But at least she said, oh, the Liberals are mishandling the economy, which was true. Like, at least she made up an excuse.
Yeah.
But to say that Mark Carney's Davos speech, where he's like, the middle powers have to unite, so all the mediocre countries have to get together. How about we try not to be mediocre? Why don't we try to be an energy superpower? Why don't we try to do other things? Why don't we try to mend fences with the superpowers? No, not that. He said that was the moving thing. And he said there's a national unity crisis. Yes. So your national unity crisis was the solution was to join the Liberals that are driving it. Like, he couldn't even come up with a good excuse. That I think really irks me, is the laziness of it all. At least Leona Alislev was like, oh, I guess the people don't like the economy. I guess the Liberals are doing that. Oh, I'll pick that. She at least tried to pick an excuse. He didn't even do that.
Yeah, but you know, Sheila, I would argue it's irrelevant what the excuse is. I want to see the system changed. You know, even fans of the parliamentary democracy system would agree with this, I would assume. When you leave your party, because you are basically betraying your voters, they voted you as a Conservative, a Liberal, whatever, you have to sit the remainder of the term as an independent, or an automatic by-election is triggered. Isn't that fair? Isn't that ethical and moral? I think so. And also, one last thing about this, Sheila.
Wait, isn't that what Kevin Vuong did? Even though we know the guy's a Conservative.
Yeah.
He sat as an independent after he left the Liberals, which is, you know, he could have run in a by-election for sure, but at least he didn't cross the floor, join another party. Yeah. He sat as an independent, even though we know you were a Conservative, Kevin. We also know you probably couldn't have won that riding as a Conservative. So, anyways, at least that's an ethical option. There are ethical options, but flying from BC to the airport, never leaving the airport, doing a big press conference saying that you were moved by that AI-generated Davos speech, and then flying back out without ever talking to anybody in the riding, the worst possible way of doing it. The worst.
And Sheila, it's just the absolute frequency and the motivation. I mean, I mentioned Leona Alislev some 7 years ago or so. Before that, Belinda Stronach. Before that, back in the 70s, Jack Horner. But we're talking a separation of decades. Here in a space of a few months, 3 Conservatives going to the Liberal Party of Canada. And what's the real reason for the Carney Liberals? Well, yeah, money for them, but for the Carney Liberals, they want that majority. And I have never seen the system abused in such a way, because Canadians, I don't care how you voted, nobody gave them a mandate of a majority. And Carney is the guy that, by hook or crook, to hell with what the constituents say, I'm going to get that majority.
Yeah, imagine being an Albertan and looking at this and knowing that even if you vote Conservative, like, we already vote Conservative. We can't vote any harder. It's a big blue block from, you know, Winnipeg West to the Lower Mainland. We cannot vote any more Conservative, and we still don't have any sort of power in Ottawa. And add another layer that even if you vote Conservative, your Conservative betrayers will just cross the floor, even after you've given the guy a mandate for 11 years when he doesn't even live in the riding. that he will still betray you. This makes us want to leave more. That there's nothing we can do to control this.
Sheila, as you know, I lived 2 years of my life in Alberta, and if I was still there, I'm voting for separation for all the reasons you just said. Hey, you know what? How would a national Alberta hockey team do in the Olympics? I think it'd be pretty good. There's a lot of good Albertan hockey players out there.
Pretty good, I think. Our curling teams are great when they're not cheating. You know what? After watching it slowed right down, I'm not even sure he cheated.
Oh.
I'm not even sure he did. I'm not sure that finger was on there past the hog line, now that it slowed right down. But I actually don't care all that much.
I don't. You've probably forgotten more about curling than I'll ever learn. But as I understand it, there's an anti-cheating sensor in the handle of the rock, but not in the rock itself, right?
Yes.
So isn't that flawed to begin with?
Sure. I mean, I don't. Small town curling rinks don't exactly have that. It's probably for the best. Let's move ahead because we got a couple of cringes. Yes. One is from Heather McPherson and one is from cringe recidivist Janice Irwin of the NDP in Alberta. That woman. She's the worst. She just crimes of the cringe over and over and over again. She gets out on bail for her crimes of cringe and then repeat offender. She needs an ankle monitor for how cringy she is. But first, this is from City News, Vancouver. The family of one of the victims of the February 10th Tumbler Ridge shooting says it has had to call off a celebration of life after receiving threats from a very dangerous person.
What's going on there, Sheila?
On social media, a relative of Kylie Mae Smith says the threat was made by somebody they know. Police say they're looking into the situation. The RCMP is aware of threats that have been circulated online and within the community. A safety plan is in place for the individuals and community as the investigation continues. Mounties in the small town say they have been in contact with the mayor and other community leaders to ensure ongoing public safety planning and communication. That's all we know. But this family's just been through absolute hell, and their hell continues to somehow get worse and worse.
I just don't understand the motivation behind the person making the threat, Sheila.
No.
I mean, this is an uber ultra sensitive issue. You know, the number of, families that lost loved ones. You're going to do something on the positive side, a celebration of life, and somebody who is potentially dangerous has an issue with that? Like, what is the unspoken strategy behind this person?
I don't know. I'm remiss to speculate here. I don't know if it's somebody from the weaponized transgender community. I don't know. I wouldn't be entirely shocked to hear that were the case.
That's what I'm thinking.
Or it could be just a deranged individual. I'm not sure. But my God, leave these people alone. Like, leave these people alone. And whoever is doing this, I hope they throw the book at them.
Yeah, that's right.
Another
I hope
book,
the
and another
RCMP
book, and another book.
Yeah, I hope the RCMP isn't going into contortions, making sure the pronouns are correct, and they're actually dispatching a squad car to this person's house and actually do an investigation.
Yeah. Let's go to the cringes, unless we have any chats, because I'm at the top of the hour. And let's start with Heather McPherson.
No.
She is the MP in Edmonton for the NDP. Again, this is why I say if you want to move to Alberta from the Lower Mainland and you still have some NDP in you, just land yourself in this riding and don't leave. Just stay there. We'll build a fence. Did you see the movie District 9?
That's the South African film, right?
The South African film with the robots that fell from the sky, or the aliens that fell from the sky. I'll come by. I'll throw cat food over the fence for you. You just stay in there. You'll be fine. You'll be surrounded by your people.
You'll bring your toolkit into the compound and fix the spaceship so they can leave.
I would absolutely do that. If it guaranteed them self-deporting, 100%. Heather McPherson, I think she's running to lead the NDP. If anybody is paying attention to that monstrosity unfolding, they had mayhem at their debate, and Eve Angler caused trouble, and they can't even properly run a debate without mayhem, and they want to run the entire country. But if you are running to lead the NDP, you're running to be the prime minister eventually, right? Like that's the plan. That's why
Wow.
you're the leader of the party. Heather McPherson says, on the ongoing gang war that's unfolding in Mexico, with Puerto Vallarta being ground zero of it, where you don't know, and like this is what I heard from my daughter, who was in Puerto Vallarta until yesterday afternoon. Trying to get to the airport, you didn't know who was the cartel or the police, because the cartel is that professionalized and that well armed.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what she says. Many Canadians, especially members of the 2SLGBTQAI plus community, are in Puerto Vallarta, where violence has quickly escalated. A shelter-in-place order is in effect. Please stay vigilant and consult the Government of Canada travel advisories for Mexico. All right. Well, I guess you're straight in Mexico. Just, I guess, screw you.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
why divide people even on this? Like, the NDP can't stop for a day. Yeah, this is me, but F her, she's straight, am I right? Like, I was like, and someone in my family was watching this, not realizing that Riley was in Puerto Vallarta, and said, boy, would really suck to have somebody in your family in Puerto Vallarta. And I was like, we do. Why divide people when Canadians are now locked in their hotels? The electricity is cut off to some of them. They're car bombing. There's executions in the street. And you're like, you know what? Stay safe, rainbows. Stay safe. As if the cartels took DEI training. Stop it.
It's unbelievable. You know, Sheila, I've been to Puerto Vallarta twice. Did you know, here, a fun fact for you, in 1986, that's where the movie Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger was filmed. It seems that there's different kinds of predators now.
Exactly.
And really, Puerto Vallarta is gorgeous. I never felt unsafe. This is the cartel purposely targeting a tourist area, not an LGBT, et cetera, area, so that it can disrupt the Mexican economy. That's why it's never been a hub of cartel activity. The idea that Heather McPherson somehow thinks that you're a member of the queer community, you are extra specially targeted? Where's the evidence?
There's none. There's none. These people are just crazy, and they can't stop for like 1 minute. They just can't help themselves. She should be embarrassed of herself. I don't know. But is this like, they're in the middle of their leadership campaign. Would Avi Lewis have said anything different? Probably not. She just beat him to it, you know?
Jeez. Talk about death by hanging or lethal injection, eh? Avi Lewis or Heather McPherson. Jeez,
Right.
you know, Jagmeet Singh, come back, all is forgiven. Well, not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. And I mentioned, we've got one chat, and then we'll do Janice Irwin. I already have to emotionally prepare myself for Janice Irwin. Okay, Janice Irwin. Before we get to her, Boo Baker, Al Puff Daddy 392 gives $5 and says, Gunny and Menzoid, your reaction to the Canada Olympic hockey loss, at the risk of sounding like a traitor, a victory would have been politicized by leftists. I tried to avoid as much of the Olympics as possible, as I said off the beginning of the show. And the Americans are gloating, for sure. But do you think that we would not have been absolutely insufferable had we won?
Oh,
And look, I
Sheila.
realize we've won over the most of the last 48 years. It's been us. I get it. This is, whatever. But we would have been just insufferable had we won. Just
It
gloating
was
and parading.
politicized before the game.
sure.
I didn't see this. I tuned in just before the puck drop, so I must have missed it. But our good friend Lincoln J, Shooter Supreme, told me that on the CBC feed, they had this montage, and one was Mike Myers doing some pro-Canada thing.
yuck.
One was Mark Carney with the elbows up theme, which, by the way, is a penalty in hockey. You don't want to take a penalty in a gold medal game, but never mind. So CBC had to politicize this ahead of time. Lincoln said, talk about jinxing the game. Maybe that's why Canada lost in overtime.
Yeah, the old Carney curse strikes again.
The anti-King Midas touch.
Yeah. Let's do as Efron puts it, a last-minute cringe. It's the aforementioned Janice Irwin, NDP, MLA for Edmonton.
Cat
She's
lady.
Lyle Lovett, Lady Lyle Lovett, I would describe. Anyway, let's watch this. Look. Oh, God. She says, if you zoom in, this is the cringe. So I'm looking at the cat. The cat looks like a hostage. But if you zoom in behind her, she has a drawing of herself and Bernie Sanders wearing masks and
That's what that
mittens
is?
in her office. Yes. Oh, too close.
Oh, that
Do you see
poor
that?
cat.
Like, in all seriousness, she has that Bernie Sanders picture of him. That's that famous one that everybody was photoshopping wearing his mittens and his mask. And she decided to have a photo of her, a drawing of her wearing that and a mask on her office wall. Or is that her home? That's terrible. It's a cult these people are in.
And
Poor
get a
kitty.
calendar. It's 2026. We're 4 years out of COVID mandates?
Right. Right. These people just love the power, though, and the moral superiority that they had because that mask made them a good citizen. And I was a bad citizen because I went the wrong way in the grocery store to
Great
get the cake
observation.
mix. Yeah. That was their moment of civic duty. They won't shovel at an old lady's sidewalk or help her get her groceries, but they wear a mask. So they're basically a firefighter rushing into a burning building, right? Never let it go.
All right, well, Sheila, I know you got to get your long johns
I
on
do.
and get out into
They're on.
the Edmonton hinterland, and I hope you stay nice and warm. Don't
I
get
won't.
frostbite, please.
I probably will.
But it's an important caper, to be sure. And folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for the individual who gave us that super chat. Much appreciated. Sheila Gunn Reid and the wonderful Lise Merle will be back here tomorrow for the Tuesday live stream. I'm planning to be back here on Friday, or maybe I have a court case to cover. I'll find out in the days ahead. In the meantime, folks, as always, stay safe and stay sane.
Rebel News loves our cruises. We came up with the idea because we take no government money, so we needed a fundraiser, and it was a great way to do it. But they become a really well-loved part of what Rebel News does each year. Some people come on the cruise every year. We bring aboard your favorite rebels like Sheila Gunn Reid and David Menzies and Alexa Lavoie. And we also bring friends of Rebel News like Tamara Leach. Well, have I got some news for you? Rebel News and our friends at Juno News are teaming up for a super cruise this year. The first time our two companies have worked together on something like this. It'll be the vacation of a lifetime. You won't just be able to hang out with your favorite rebels, but the Juno team will be with us too. Here's Juno's Kian Bexty to tell you more about it.
Thanks, Ezra. Juno News and Rebel News are the only two independent news networks in the entire country, in all of Canada, that do not take a dime of government money. So it's not surprising that many of our supporters like both of us. This cruise is going to be a great way for Juno News supporters and Rebel News supporters to spend some time together and with us. A week aboard the luxurious Holland America line as we sail through the Caribbean Sea, stopping in some pretty amazing ports for some sightseeing. But the best part really is going to be when we're at sea, because that's when our special panel discussions happen, speeches, special activities. And of course, we're all going to be having dinner together every single night, and we're going to be rotating through tables of special guests. So you might have me at your dinner table one night, Ezra Levant at your dinner table the next night, and someone else the following night. We're going to have some VIP guests here joining us on this cruise, so it's going to be a really exciting time.
Thanks, Kian. I think this is going to be really fun. Technically, Rebel and Juno are competitors, but we have a lot in common in our belief in independent journalism and freedom of speech. I think our viewers are absolutely going to love this trip to see the best of both companies. And as I mentioned, it's a fundraiser for each of us too.
So this cruise is going to be taking place from November 28th to December 5th of this year, 2026, in the Eastern Caribbean, departing from Fort Lauderdale and sailing aboard Holland America Line's MS Eurodam. It's a beautiful ship with great food, some awesome activities, and we're going to be visiting Grand Turk, San Juan, St. Thomas, and a private beach island called Half Moon Cay. You can see all of the details at thenewscruise.com.
Thanks, Kian. This is the first time we're doing something like this, bringing Juno News and Rebel News journalists and fans together in person at sea for a full week of conversation, learning, relaxation, and fun. So head on over to thenewscruise.com for the vacation of a lifetime. That's thenewscruise.com. See you on the high seas.